fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Predacon Tarantulas from the Transformers Legacy line from Hasbro. So finally getting back to the Wave 2 Deluxes here. Really need to wrap up Wave 2 because Wave 3 is going to be here before you know it. Taking a look at the packaging, I really like the artwork here on the front of the Tarantula. I think that's really cool. And then over here on the side, we have kind of a close-up and then kind of a more full-body shot of Tarantulas in robot mode. Again, artwork really looks great. Over here on this side, we have that kind of typical picture we have for the Decepticon half of the Legacy mural, I guess I'll call it for lack of a better term. Not really too much going on the top or the bottom, but if we spin around to the back, we get the robot mode, we get the Tarantula mode. Got the QR code over here for the tech specs, so pretty standard. But yeah, really great looking packaging. Really like the artwork there. Gonna go ahead, get him out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. Here he is out of the packaging. He looks absolutely fantastic. I love the way this guy came out. I think it's probably a safe bet to say that he's going to end up being the best Deluxe from Wave 2. I know I've only seen about half of them so far, and Wild Rider was pretty good. But this guy's just fantastic. They really did a nice job with him. I'm so happy that he's not just a repaint of Black Arachnia. This is a completely original mold, and I think it's way better than Black Arachnia. Not that she was terrible, but I just think this figure is so much better for a variety of reasons, and we'll get into it. But yeah, right off the bat, I think he looks fantastic. Head sculpt is pretty much perfect. Looks like it came right out of the cartoon. I think they did such a good job there. Really nice detailing, really nice paint. You can swivel the head from side to side. You can look down a very tiny little bit. You can look up a very tiny little bit. You can see it just kind of rocks in place there. Don't really have... You get a little bit of kind of side to side, but it's really mostly just a swivel side to side. Then you have the shoulders, which these pieces can get in the way a little bit, but you can kind of move them around, so whatever movement you need to get out of that hinge, you can pretty much get it. You have a swivel here as well. Now these pieces kind of move around, and then you have this like bicep, kind of lower bicep swivel, as well as 90 degrees here in the elbow. Now this is kind of getting in the way a little bit, but you can see you can get the full 90 degrees there, but when he has the weapon equipped, he blocks it a little bit. You have really nice paint here for the crotch. Kind of get the illusion of the head of the spider. Now he has a real head of the spider that's actually back here in the backpack. This is just to kind of give the illusion for when he transformed in the show. You know, it made it look like his whole chest was kind of made out of the top of the spider, but that's really all up in here. You have a nice hinge here in the hip. You can kick out to the side. You can kick pretty far back until you hit this piece. You can kick pretty far forward. You do have a waist swivel as well, which I forgot to show off, which is nice. You have double jointed knees. Now this is really for the transformation, but they do work really well. You have a hinge here in the ankle as well as a rocker side to side. Some really nice metallic paint down here for the legs and the feet. And just all in all, I think this guy looks phenomenal. So weapon-wise, he does have his kind of classic... I don't know what you would call this, grappling hook launcher. I mean, most of the time he would kind of launch this into rocks and things and then swing from it like web. Sometimes he would just fire it at enemies. It does not fire in any way. It is completely molded, but it does look pretty good. I think they did a really nice job with this. Little hollow underneath, but really no problem there. It is molded one solid color in black. And then he has this kind of saw blade thing that I really feel like is kind of motivated by Transmetal Tarantulas' weapon, because he did have kind of a saw blade that he would use as a wheel in one of his alternate modes, but they just included this here. I think he can hold this like a sword as well. Yeah, he can. He can hold it like a sword if you want, or of course you can hold it like this. This does not rotate. The one for Transmetal Tarantulas had like a swivel here, so it could be vertically oriented, but that's not the case here. But they have some nice metallic paint here for the saw blade. So like I said, it's a little weird that it's included here because, you know, OG Tarantulas, non-Transmetal Tarantulas, did not have this weapon. I feel like this was definitely inspired by his Transmetal form, but it's still cool. Just kind of a little extra accessory to have, so that's kind of neat. I'll put those off to the side. The other thing I really like, and if you were a fan of the original show like I was, there would be several times where he would actually use his legs as weapons, and they would all kind of fire. And so you can kind of replicate that here by having all of the legs kind of face forward, and then you could pretend like they're all firing at enemies, because he would do that quite a bit on the show. He would just have them all kind of fire from the legs. I think Black Arachnia used to do it as well. So I think that's kind of cool. You can definitely replicate that here, or otherwise you can just kind of tuck these back if you want. These are on ball joints, which we'll take a look at a little bit more in the Tarantula mode. But if you wanted to use the ball joint to swivel these all towards the back, you can absolutely do so. And then that way they're just kind of out of the way. And then we can swivel this up. But yeah, he looks fantastic. Really great paint applications, really great design. Doesn't have a ton of spider kibble. Has a little bit of a backpack, but it's pretty compressed. Doesn't really hinder articulation at all. The only thing it really hinders is this leg coming back a tiny little bit. And he's got some molded in detail here on the thigh that's probably missing some paint applications. Probably should have the same kind of yellow that we have here on the back, but not really a big deal. Just all in all, I love the look of him. And like I said, I'm so happy that he was not just a repaint of Black Arachnia, because I feel like he warranted his own mold and they really did a great job with it. So let's go ahead, let's get into the transformation. Alright, so transformation is actually pretty simplistic. We're going to start over here on the back. We are going to unhook this. So right here there's a little tab, and you can see that that just unhooks like that. I'm going to kick the legs all the way forward so that I have some clearance to kind of scoot this down under his butt. And then you can see here is actually the head of the spider, which I'm going to lift up. This is going to come over the robot head and then just kind of tuck like that. At this point, we're going to spin at that waist swivel. And it can be a little tricky, but once you get that done, then you're going to peg in this large tab in here. And it can be a little difficult because it kind of naturally just wants to go here and just kind of sit there, but you kind of have to pull it back a little bit further so that it passes the first little tab and actually drops down to where it's supposed to go. So once you have that, we can kind of just rotate these arms up to kind of get them out of the way, like so. We're going to take the legs and we are going to bend them at the knee, so you have that double jointed knee there. If I zoom in, you can see that there is a little tab right there, which is going to tab into one of these spots right here. I think it's this one right here. But you'll just kind of do this, and it will naturally snap into place, like so. So you can see that that's kind of snapped in. And then you kind of have the foot here that you'll kind of want to leave out like that. So we're going to bring this up. We're going to do the double jointed knee. We're going to snap that in. And then you're going to kind of bring the foot down like this. And just kind of line this up. Let me zoom out here. So you can see that there's a little spot right here. We're going to bring this in. And there is a spot right here that's going to fit in there. So we're going to just drop this like this, right on top. And then we're going to bring this down. And then the feet will kind of peg in to the underside of this, like, bulbous aft section. So that's going to become the whole back section of the tarantula there. So that's going to snap in there like that. And then really the only last thing to do is you're going to bring this up. You're going to spin these pieces around like so. And then you can see that there is a tab here, which is going to fit into this little spot right here. And then there is a spot right here that is going to get this tab right here. So you kind of bring this in, and then that will peg in. And as you're doing that, you'll see that there is this section here that will kind of fill in these areas. So as you bring this in, these will kind of fill in here, and then that will tab in there. And then make sure you have that lined up. For whatever reason, the one arm on mine seems to line up very nicely. and the other one doesn't as much. And I don't know why that is, but there we go. So we push that in on the sides here. So once you have that all pegged in, then it's really just a matter of positioning the tarantula legs with these ball joints. So we will do that like so. And then the last step is to just take the extra weapon, and you can see that there's a little peg hole right there, and we're just going to peg that in for storage underneath. And then there we go. We have our tarantula mode. I think this looks phenomenal. I think they did a really great job with this. The legs look really, really good. So I said earlier on that I really think this mold is better than Black Arachnia, and for a couple of reasons. One, I think having these pincers in the front is like an integral part of the alt mode, because they both had them on the show. They used these little pincers here in the front. It was a big part of their, spider modes, and Black Arachnia doesn't have that. For her mode, you have to swivel them to the back, and they're supposed to peg in underneath her like large bulbous section, and they don't stay very well. This really holds together really, really well. Like, this all stays together and snaps in really nicely. Even both the weapons store very nicely. Once you get these sections pegged in, like, everything holds together really well. And I feel like Black Arachnia's doesn't. Black Arachnia's is very much tuck as much as we can under the big, back bulbous area and hope it all stays under there. It's a little bit more of a complicated transformation. And like I said, she doesn't have these pincers here in the front because they've been tucked underneath in an attempt to try to hold the spider mode together. And so that's why I just think this one really succeeds where she failed, unfortunately. I'm not a huge fan of that mold. It's not terrible, but I think this one is just so much better. I think the spider looks better. I think, the legs really work a lot better. They're a little bit more detailed. I think this holds together a lot better. And I think having these pincers here in the front is just really, really important. So all in all, I absolutely love this. I think it looks fantastic. The only way it could maybe be better, some people might have wanted this to be like a missile firing weapon. I completely understand why it's not. I know it was back in the day, but I think it makes more sense to just have it molded, because then you can give it a little bit more detail. But yeah, I mean, maybe if you had some string or something to hang from, that's really the only way you could be a little better. But you could easily do something yourself. You could just get some string, maybe tie it around to the back of this, and then you could have them hanging off something. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, but for the most part, I think this spider mode is absolutely fantastic. I think Tarantulas is pretty perfect. There's really not too much to complain about here. Robot mode looks great. Great head sculpt, great paint applications, good articulation. The accessories included look really good. I like the posability you have with the tarantula legs. You can kind of recreate that pose he did on the show where he would use them to kind of fire at the Maximals. I think that's really cool. I don't really have too much to complain about. The transformation's fun, pretty simple, but complicated enough that it's not a problem. The tarantula mode looks fantastic. All of the weapons store really nicely underneath. Holds together very solidly. It has those pincers in the front that I think is really integral to the spider mode, so that I can kind of replicate what it looked like on the show. Yeah, he's pretty great. I definitely think he's going to end up being the best deluxe of Wave 2, and definitely one that I think you need to add to your collection if you're any kind of a Beast Wars fan. Definitely head out and find this one somewhere and pick it up, because like I said, there's just really not much to complain about. He's pretty perfect. And I'm sorry it took us so long to get him. We've had all the other members of the show, pretty much the entire, well, I'll say the main 6. I know we're getting Inferno soon, so then we'll have the main 7 from the show. Never got Quick Strike, though. We need some Fusors. Maybe in the future, we'll see. But in any case, the kind of main core 6, 7, whatever you want to say, Tarantulas has been missing for some time, so I'm very happy that we finally got him. But he was worth the wait. He definitely was worth the wait, because this is a really, really great figure. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.